Hello, this is Lisa Russick with the podcast We Are All Psychic. And if you're looking, look who's here. If you're listening, it's Barbara With. She's back to do more Albert Einstein stuff. I hope. Barbara, would you like to say hello to the listeners and watchers?
Hey, Lisa. Hey, people. I hope you're as great as I am.
I do have to interrupt you because I do have to ask you if you think we're all psychic still.
I know we're all psychic.
She knows it. Love that. So what's been going on in your life? I know the listeners and watchers are dying to hear because you're a regular guest now, and they're like, "Where's she been? Where'd she go? What have you been up to?"
Well, woohoo! Stuff is working overtime over in my neck of the woods. I spent the winter, as you know, I spent the winter in Georgia. I live in northern Wisconsin in the summer, but I spent the winter in Georgia, and unbeknownst to me, when I went there, the whole winter was hunkered down. Probably from November to April, I used 2 tanks of gas. That's how much I didn't go anywhere.
Wow. Yeah.
But I completely finished my Conflict Revolution, the master class. I finished my Conflict Revolution, the basics, these 2 courses now that are up, and you can get the easy one it's still very detailed, or you can get the really detailed one that walks you through the unified field theory, the maps of human consciousness, all of the physics of Einstein, the big master class. So I got all of that done. I also, I applied and was chosen to speak at the 31st Science of Consciousness conference that's taking place this July in Barcelona.
Oh my gosh, that is so exciting. Tell us about that. Please tell us more. Please tell us more.
And last year, I went to the Science of Consciousness conference in Tucson in April. But I only had what they called a poster display. So they gave you a big blackboard, and you had a night where you brought your poster, and then people could come by and talk to you. But this year I get my own 20 minutes, and I used AI to take my work, channeling Einstein, and asked AI to create sort of an abstract that was geared for the scientists in scientist language.
That is so awesome. AI is amazing, isn't it? I love it. ChatGPT is my thing. Yeah.
One of my boyfriends.
Yeah, I know, right? And friend. I mean, I've got good friends, and I don't have a boyfriend. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. Do I? I never really know if I have a boyfriend, but somebody knows, hopefully.
But in any case, so I was accepted to speak. And what's so interesting is the day that I'm speaking is July 8th, and July 9th is the 70th anniversary of the reading of the Russell Einstein Manifesto, which was Albert Einstein's last paper that he wrote. He died that April, but Bertrand Russell read it in July in London. And, back then it was no social media. There was no all newspapers. And so they put out a press release to the newspapers of the world to come and listen to Albert Einstein's last message. He's died now. So they rented this little room in the basement of, it's called Caxton Hall in London.
Okay.
And so many reporters from around the world came, they had to move it upstairs. And the message that he wrote was basically, he and 9 other scientists signed it. World leaders have to find peaceful ways to resolve their conflicts because no one will survive World War III. So every year for many, many years, this anniversary comes along, and I do this sort of like I'm in my bathroom, or I'm just at home going, we're going to do this worldwide movement, this nonviolent action to end the age of war by doing our inner work.
Yes.
And now I'm going to speak to all of the major, Nassim Haramein, Deepak Chopra is going to be there, but every single scientist.
Oh my God.
And Einstein is going to be able to deliver a message to them on that anniversary. And that piece of it alone just blows my mind.
That is just so freaking amazing and fantastic. Is this going to be like aired anywhere? I mean, could we watch this anywhere or streaming or?
I don't think so. I am definitely going to find a way to have somebody videotape it for me.
Okay.
They may, and I don't know, like the conference may have live streaming stuff afterwards or something. But to me, the whole point of getting those people there, like before, not just hoping that they show up, but finding Nassam Harriman purposefully. And that the last one, I took my Imagining Einstein book at the morning meditation when Deepak Chopra was the meditator, and everybody lined up and I was sitting right by where he was standing by everybody. And he was doing a great job being, yes, and this, just people have to. And finally, after like 20 minutes and he's like, yes, and pictures and this and this. And I got up with my book and I said, I don't want to bother you, but I've been impelled to tell you to please read this book. And he took this book, pulled me over, he looked at my book. And I was already, you know how we are. I was already go, oh, well, it's just a little book, it won't take
I know what you mean. Yeah. You just.
And before I could say anything, he looked right at me. He said, I will do this.
Wow.
And then, I don't know how long ago, sometime this winter, I was on a podcast with a woman named Inoi, and she's in Brooklyn. She has a talk radio.
Okay.
Show. And she is helping a man who is funding what it used to be called it wasn't the Open U, but there was this big educational facility in New York for years and years where they just put on all kinds of classes. And Deepak Chopra put on many, many classes there. It's something I'm sure that helped build his whatever. Yeah. She knows him.
Okay.
And she is now, that went out of business, but some other person in that circle is resurrecting and has hired her to help him bring this back to life.
Oh,
so
wow.
I did her show. And after the show, she immediately bought she had a reading herself, but then she bought readings for a couple of other people and said to me, Deepak needs to, I'll get a hold of him. Like she has that capacity to be the messenger that says, Deepak,
remember
this woman, and you have to, and then I can find him too, because that was pretty easy to get to him in that one.
Yeah.
So that's just mind-blowingly amazing.
It is. And that is like, I like the way how you described how he just kind of was so like interested in you for that moment you had with him, And I have a feeling like you do make people feel that way. I mean, when I talk to you, I feel like I'm the only person in the room, I usually am, but I mean, I imagine if we were like in a crowded room, like if there's a guest or a co-host or something, I do feel like it's a very private, intimate conversation, even, among friends. And even when it's you or Al, I don't feel a distance there, like a facade distance. Most people will have some kind of like facade, their public face. They're like, I have a public face. It's pretty much like my private face, but you know what I mean.
And yes, I'm the same way. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that he probably I would guess anyone could sense that about you. Anyone around you, like if you look at them, I can just feel like you have this like way, you do with me anyway, and you have this way with people to just bring out their best, and they want to come up to you, right? Don't they? Like come up to you a lot and say, hey, blah, blah, blah.
It is, it's been, especially after doing all of this work, this Einsteinian work on myself, and really, really getting to the place where conflict revolution and all this work has permanently changed my whole relationship to myself in such an amazing way. And, they always used to say in manifestation, like, oh, it's supposed to be easy, and all you have to do is like, think good thought, all this stuff. And I'd always like, what? It's not easy. It's the hardest thing you can do, But now that I've come to this new level of self, I think it's just basic self-love.
Yeah.
Because when we listen to our intuition, which is always going to tell us the next most advantageous step for what's good, and then we actually do that, we manifest easily, like
It's
I
true.
begrudgingly
Yeah.
didn't want to admit could happen, but
I
it's
would
sure.
never want to, I won't admit it. I know you're right, but
I know, I know, I know.
I love it. Manifestation's always been kind of for me, if I'm not thinking about manifesting it, I'll have better luck. But if I'm like actively, I'm going to manifest it, I get in my own head and get in my own way, and I won't see the signs that are obviously there because I want to see the other signs that I want to see and stuff like that, you know. But it's always for my best, you know. I always ask for my best outcome if I'm asking for help from a guide or an angel or something. Um, actually, that kind of makes me want to ask Al a question. Do you think Albert Einstein might want to come out for a chat with Al 5?
Oh, well, why come this far?
It's not that far for him, is it?
No, it's not far at all.
Okay, listeners and watchers, if you've never seen Barbara before, she channels Albert Einstein, and she does this on the show. She's done it, I think, 4 times before, maybe 5. I'm not sure how many times. I think this is a chat with Al 5.
Great.
Yeah, so if you're up for it, are you up for doing that today, or?
I am. You know, I always like to turn my video off, though.
Absolutely. We're going to turn our videos off, listeners and watchers. So I'll put a pretty pictures up while she's channeling Albert Einstein. And when you're ready, let me know.
Okay, we'll do some thoughts, and then we'll open for questions. So you must have some. Right?
I will, yes.
Okay.
I do.
All right. Well, why don't you mute while we do a little bit of a dissertation?
Okay.
And everyone at home too, or who are listening here and want to follow along with this channel, just for a second, close your eyes, turn your focus inward, and just take some breaths. And for a half of a second, put aside all your thoughts about what you think is going on in the world and what happened yesterday and what you think should be happening today and what you're afraid of happening tomorrow. Just put all that aside and just take a breath. When you exhale, literally just feel your shoulders relaxing just a hair. And then breathe again. Just let go. Let go of your thoughts. Let go of the day. And listen. And we will command that only the most divine light shine down upon you at this time, and the greatest good be present here. It is always a pleasure to welcome you back to the circle. There is always so much curiosity that is going on in your particular field of energy. There's a constant flow of questions, and this is your nature. It's always been your nature. And there are many, many people in the world like you who have, including Barbara, who have just asked so many questions, because life and being alive is a mysterious, miraculous, interactive experience that begs many questions. What a beautiful, miraculous, unexplainable condition this human life that you're living is. And today, we just want to remind everyone that right now, in your world around you, what you're seeing is an expression and a revelation going on around you of what is happening within you. And this is why you're in this place in your society, in your culture, where you can stand next to someone and you can both be physically looking at the same thing, and you can each have a completely different experience of what that thing that you're looking at is. And the part of the reason why this is happening is in this evolution of human consciousness that's going on, you're all uncovering your deepest depths, your shadow sides, the repressed emotion, maybe emotion you never felt from your childhood or from yesterday, maybe emotion from other lives. You're unable to repress yourselves anymore. Not that you're not trying, but those who are holding on tightly to trying to control things through just their thinking and their intellect and not learning how to master this incredible flow of emotion, those who are just riding that wave as if you're a victim to it, that's how it feels. Those of you, however, who are pushing yourselves past the levels of what consciousness had been in your past and opening up to the new understanding of what this evolution is, you're learning that you have to be responsible for yourself. You are being moved into a life where you have to be 100% responsible for what you manifest in your world. And what does that mean? It's a difficult, challenging, complex system to sort out. But that's why you're here, to sort it out, to break it down, and to create a system for yourself wherein you take full responsibility for what is yours to be responsible for. And as humanity, you included, have to learn, what is that? What are you responsible for? And what aren't you responsible for in the world? And you're coming out of a field of philosophy, psychology, that is evolving too. In the past, talk therapy, psychology, talking through your problems was seen as a way to release these feelings. And in many ways it is. However, you're now evolved to a place where it actually isn't. It's emotion, and your feelings have a completely different way that you process the energy than you were ever taught. It has nothing to do with what happened in your childhood. Those things may be frameworks for why you have these obsessed emotions. But when they're there in your body, it doesn't matter if it's a past life or your childhood, or if you walked into a room and you think you're feeling other people because you're so empathetic. It doesn't matter. If you are feeling it in your body, it's yours to master. And the same is true with your intellect and your thinking. How are you going to deepen your relationship with yourself and your relationship to your intuition and all of those things? Every human being is being left almost in a way, maybe sometimes you feel abandoned by the angels and the spirit guides and the ancestors, because you doesn't feel sometimes like you're connected to that, but that's purposeful. It's because now is a time where you are being pushed and you decide If you think you can, you will be right. If you think you can, you will be right. And we are here. It's not that the angelic realms and all the ancestors have disappeared. It's just you need to do this for yourselves. And we are excited because as much as sometimes it's difficult for you, for us, it's a celebration to see humanity reaching this point of desired self-mastery, because that is the answer to global peace as well. So how can we help you with any questions or conversation?
Well, Al, thank you so much, first of all, for coming back again for the 5th time. And I'm very happy you're here. Everything you said really hits home for me personally. And I think it will for a lot of people who listen to this, if not all of them. In my personal life, I definitely am trying to find self-mastery. That's what I have decided I am doing with my life overall, my overall arc. I don't know what that means exactly for me personally, but I'm finding out through a life. I have questions for you, though, Al, about love.
Yes.
We've talked about the frequency of compassion. And I'm not talking about just romantic love. I mean the power of divine love, romantic love, friendship love, family love, the feeling of love. Why do we even have it?
When you get to the root of our model of how reality is created, it's actually the first fundamental force, but it's really the primal field, we'll call it. We're going just to the scientific definition, and we'll get to the spiritual and human tie into that. Just to start with the root, that compassion is that primordial field from which energy springs into consciousness, and then consciousness springs into the world and your body and the whole human experience. So, number one, at your root, you're made of this energy that is creating this, we call it compilation of your consciousness, like a compass that draws circles.
Okay.
And then it also aligns that compilation with true north. And then we get to the second idea of why do you love in terms of humanity, is because the purpose of having a human body and having a human experience is exactly what you just said. It's the mastery that can only take place while you're in a human body. It's not that you don't continue to evolve between lives and when you don't have a human body. It's that the work of the root change takes place while you're in your physical body, because, as we said in the beginning, the 100% responsibility for what you're creating is that the greater operating system, the greater you, who you are, is creating the physical experiences that you're going through.
The perspective. Yeah.
And those physical experiences can be manipulated by what level of love you intentionally choose to exert in your mastery of your own domain. So love itself, even though on a scientific level, we can write you mathematical definitions of what is the force that creates this circular domain,
Right.
etc. But the function of human love and family love and one-to-one love and children love and love between humans is to give you all that rich, visceral experience while you're in your physical body, because you're actually in the act of creation. As you're sitting there, there listening to us talk, you are in the act of creating on the from the non-physical into the physical, every cell of your body as we speak. And so everyone that you're interacting with is of you. And once humanity grasps that on a very empirical way, and not just where you get triggered by someone and you can't stand them, and then you can theoretically say, yeah, they're a part of me, but to actually go in like an Ho'oponopono type of experience where you use whatever experience you have with that person, whether it's delightful or agonizing, as a gift of reflection of some part of you you would never see without them.
True. So is love a mirror?
Exactly.
Okay. So it's just, it's, I'd love to ask you another question about this. Do you feel that love, okay, two-part question. I kind of feel like, and you can put in words in my mouth if I'm not putting them right, but I kind of feel like in time is life. Life is in time. I think we discussed this. When you're not living, you're not in the same concept of time that I have of time. Yes. As a human. So I think when I'm in the life, I can evolve my soul through love and how my experiences with love go. It's kind of what I believe. But I don't think I could do it out of time, because love is something that grows and it takes time, right? Or it's just there. I mean, there's always love. There's always love, the divine love, the love of just, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like a force, like compassion, because some kinds of love, like for your parents or your children, I mean, there's no quantifying that to me in any kind of equation, really. But it moves me to want to be better at me. If I love someone, it will tend to make me want to be better at me. Or if I'm not in my best place, I might get insecure about it and feel like I'm not loved. And that's something a lot of people want to be loved. And we all want to feel love too. Is this what we learn from?
Yes. And if you look at it this way, that going back to the scientific capital C compassion,
yes,
which is that primordial field that you originate from, you're made of this compassion, this mysterious force of the universe. And then you have these three human dimensions that are part of the entire operating system of emotion, intuition, intellect. When you get into the lens and you have manifested the physical body, and the thoughts, feelings, senses are starting to develop. And so the thoughts with a small t are the human manifestation of the reflection of the intellect with a capital I.
Oh, I love it.
Are the small s of the reflection of the capital I intuition and feelings, and the same. And love is the small l of compassion. It's the tool that you use as a human being to do this evolutionary process that you're being driven to do, because you're rising out of the primordial field of compassion, which is a force that is the creative intelligence. So it's constantly driving creation.
I love that. That's what it feels like. And, traditionally a baby will be born out of love, and any baby born will always be loved. I feels like anytime they pop on out, there's someone loving them,
Yes.
I thank you, Al. I really don't have any other questions, because you answered that perfectly. I mean, that was just so beautiful. And I understand, I feel as much as I can what you're saying. And what I'm going to take from this, Al, I think I'm going to, while I'm working on myself, I'm going to look at my reactions when I'm feeling love. Because when I feel love, it's just a great feeling. But then after it, but around it, I have some, like for a romantic partner or a friend or a family member, I have insecurities around loving them if they love me. Insecurities around being used, stuff like that. Human actions that we have to grow from. I'm going to take what you said, and I'm going to kind of swim around in my compassion pool. And really, really, I felt like I've kind of disconnected from my compassion a good bit in the last couple of years. And it's always there, but it's not like it used to be. It used to be kind of over the top to where I was not being so compassionate with myself, which is something I have to do first. I feel like I would try to make other people happier, and that would make me happier, but it didn't, right? I'm taking from what you say that love will be a method I will be using to evolve into my better self if I choose to.
Yes, and part of what it is the shift away from the old, what you described as the old patterns and the old decision-making processes wherein you ignored your own intuitive impelling because there was an intellectual
Yes.
drive. You have to do this. You need to do this. You should do this if you don't do this. So in these years, you've shifted. And now where you're at is you're about to take this next step where you realize, all right, I have to just cut off the part of me that has been codependent and insecure. And the way you can do that, and this is why we love this work, is that every insecurity that you have, you can break into two parts, into the emotion of it, which is just a pure, as we said, no story about why. Just, you have an interaction with someone, you get triggered, there's thoughts that go on, and then there's emotions that go on. So as you move forward, you're going to see what is the new healthy reactions that feel unhealthy because the old you would have said, you need to be taking care of them first because something's wrong now. So you have to be dismantling that while you get used to what it feels like. And what you have to remember as you're going through the letting go is that you're making space to bring into your life people who also love themselves as much as they do, as you're doing, and that respect themselves as much. And in that way, like you don't have to use other people. We're using that quote unquote, use other people to validate yourself.
Right.
Which is what the old way was.
Yes. It feels like an old way. It really does. Thank you, Al. Is there anything else you'd like our listeners or watchers to know about you or Barbara? Tell us Barbara's secrets. I'm just kidding, Al.
We are always so grateful to be able to have a voice, and these are exciting times ahead. And we hope that you and all of those who listen here can feel that excitement and feel the power of self-love. And once you unlock the key and you get the code where you understand the difference between what you don't have to struggle with that isn't in your control and what is yours in control, and then you find out we call it an aspect that's sort of just the contrarian, that you sometimes just do something because someone told you to do it differently. And once that all starts to really just relax away and this huge desire to want to surrender to the flow comes in, you're only going to need to watch and be amazed. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Al. Welcome back, Barbara.
Isn't that beautiful?
I love you, Al. I love you too, Barbara. I love and have compassion for both of you. Right now, I do anyway. That was really great. He's amazing. How does he know it all?
I don't know. I think it's a group effort.
Amazing. Maybe. I think he's amazing. And I think you're amazing too. Thank you so much, Barbara. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our listeners or watchers about your
let's just stay in touch around the 70th anniversary in Barcelona. But I'm doing a 12-week conflict revolution challenge. And this is in sync with the 70th anniversary because I'm looking for the participation of the willing to take part in a worldwide nonviolent action to end the age of war using conflict resolution by first working on the war within.
Yeah.
So I've created a free downloadable, there's the whole kind of how we're going to do this. And then there's a 12-week workbook that every week you get a new thing that you're going to focus on. Like, what are you going to be aware of? This week, are we being aware? We're getting in a witness and we're going to watch our thinking process. Next week, we're really going to focus on paying attention to what does intuition feel like? And at the end of the 12 weeks, I have a little survey that I want to take. So I'm launching this and it's free. And like I said, we've got other things that you can dive in deeper with.
That is really cool.
Sending you a personal, official announcement to the world that this is what I have. This is what I'm looking for. And from now on, I can challenge everyone. Anyone who complains about, oh, this is blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's put our money where our mouth is. So without...
I'm broke.
I know. And that's why it's free. Because it's just...
I love you.
The more of us that can just keep doing this, and it doesn't cost us a thing.
When do you think that'll be live? So I can publish this whenever. I do have some I have to mix, but I can do this one first if it's going to coincide with your launch. You froze with your mouth open.
No, I'm thinking.
Oh no, you did that on purpose. I thought you were frozen. Like, wow, that was good. You could die really well in fake and acting.
I am in the final stages of, in fact, when we hang up here, I have to go and proof all of the work that my web guy just did. So it's going to be a couple more days before I iron out everything, but it's within a week.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I'll have this all ready to go and you tell me when you launch and then I'll publish it.
Okay, and this will all be edited out?
Yes, I can edit this out. Well, I might leave it just for the entertainment for the listeners while we're working out our lives. Right, listeners? Don't you really want to know the behind the scenes?
This is how it works.
This is how it works.
Hey,
yeah, with the cat
I got nothing to hide. I am authentic.
It is a candid podcast. And we have cat guests.
Okay.
Albert
Einstein.
Whatever,
kitty. I've got
and it's really interesting. I do have a cat named Einstein. I didn't know if I've ever told you that, but this is Gandalf. But his brother is my other cat is Einstein. It's no coincidences. And with that, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Everclear. Everclear is an advice app and website where you can get advice from psychics and empaths, so you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And I am an advisor on Everclear. I used to be under the name Lisa P, but now I am under my name, Lisa Russick. So if you can spell it, if you can't, you can read it on the screen. If you're not watching, I guess you'll just have to go to Everclear and find me and figure out the R with a bunch of letters, no vowels, all that good stuff. Russick. It's easy sounding, but it's it's a mess of a name. But and Barbara, where can the listeners? I think I have all your info, but just let's for new people. Do you have a website or can
BarbaraWith.com. synergyalliance.llc, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and
great. I'll put all that info in the description, listeners and watchers.
And
cat
kitty. I also would extend to your listeners the offer of the half price reading.
Okay. Oh wow. Let's see. Have a code. What? We're all psychic.
Well, actually, I just asked people to reach out, and say that they heard you, they saw me, and then you can buy the half hour reading, and I give you a full hour.
That's wonderful, listeners, watchers. Do that; you will not regret it. I might do it too. Oh, that's a really good deal. Thank you.
And
bet. Gandalf thanks you, and I guess. For now, I will let you and Al have your lives back, and maybe we can have you back after the conference. And if you do find out it's going to be streaming, let me know, and I will let the listeners and watchers know that you're going to be streaming, and they can watch it somewhere if that's something that happens in July.
Okay, I will find that.
Thank you very much, Barbara. I love having you on the show.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. And listeners and watchers, you know I love you. Barbara loves you. I think we've asked her that before. She loves you too. And we will see you soon, sometime in the next forever. Peace out. Bye.